life to plants, allow peace to blossom and bear fruit. My dear brothers and sisters, it is time for food. Fruits and vegetation abound here, thanks to the great river that passes through the country. What the ancient historian Herodotus said of Egypt, namely that it can be called a gift of the Nile, also applied to South Sudan. Truly, as you are wont to say, this is a land of great abundance. I would like to take up the image of this great river that crosses the country, a young nation, but it's a nation of artisans. It is precisely from the search of source of life together I would like to take. Truly, as you are this great river that crosses this country, all in the hearts of the nation. I don't like this. Distinguished. This time. May the time that followed the birth of the country, its painful childhood, lead to a peaceful maturity. The authorities, those sons, daughters, and history itself will remember you if you work for the benefit of these people that you have been called to serve. Future generation will either venerate your names or cancel their memory based on what you now do. For just as the Nile leaves its sources to begin its course, so the course of history will leave behind the enemies of peace and bring renown to those who are true peacemakers. Indeed, as the scripture tells us, there is a prosperity for the month of peace. Violence, on the other hand, turns back to the course of history. Herodotus himself spoke of the international disruption brought on by war, when children no longer bury their parents, but parents bury their children. In order that this land may not turn into a cemetery, but become once more a luxurious garden, I beg you with all my heart to accept 4 simple words, not my words, but those of Christ. He himself spoke them in a garden in Gethsemane, went to a disciple of his who had drawn a sword. He cried, "No more of this." Dear President and Vice Presidents, in the name of God, of the God to whom we prayed together in Rome, of the God who is gentle and humble in heart, the God in whom so many people of this beloved country believe, now is time to say no more of this without ifs or buts. No more bloodshed, no more conflicts, no more violence, mutual recrimination about who is responsible for it, no more leaving your people at rest for peace, no more destruction. It is time to build. Leave the time of war behind and let a time of peace dawn. On this, my dear President, let us sing again. This is what we have had in Uganda. There is need for the peace. Let us go ahead on that. Let us go on the discussions of the Nile leaving its source and passing through the republic. What is the meaning of becoming one republic? Yet what does it mean? It means seeing yourself as truly public of the people. It is a declare that the state belongs to everyone, and consequently those entrusted with greater responsibility. This is for the service of the common good. That is the purpose of power. And there is temptation that we always want to serve for one's own. It is necessary, when starting with the primary goods, the abundant resources with which God has blessed this land should not be restricted to a few, but recognized legacy and plans for economic recovery should coincide with proposals for an equitable distribution of wealth. The growth of sound essentially to life of the republic. It preserves the held distinction of powers, such as way that, for example, those who administer justice can do so without interference from those who just in the government. Democracy presupposes respect for human rights upheld by law and application of law, particularly the right to the freedom of it should be in mind that there is no peace without justice. Without freedom, there is no justice. But also that there is no justice. Every citizen, therefore, should be enabled to make the most of the unique and unbeatable gift of his or her life, and be provided with suitable means of doing. In the words of Pope John Paul XXIII, every human being the right to life, a bodily integrity. The Nile, leaving its sources and passing through some uneven terrain in creeks, waterfalls, and rapids, enters the South Sudanese plain and near Juba becomes navigable. Before entering more boggy areas, in a similar way, I trust that the Republic's path to peace will not proceed unevenly, but starting from this capital, will take a course that can be navigated and not to be pushed down by innate. Dear friends, it is time to move from words to deeds. It is time to turn to the page. It is time for commitment to an urgent and much needed transformation. The process of peace and reconciliation requires a new start. May an understanding be reached and progress be made in moving forward with the peace accord and roadmap. In a world scared by divisions and conflict, this country is hosting an ecumenical pilgrimage of peace, which is something rare. It represents a change of direction, an opportunity for South Sudan to resume whaling in calm waters, taking up dialogue without duplicity and opportunism. May it be on everyone an occasion to revive home. Let its citizens understand that the time has come to stop being carried along by the tainted waters of hatred, tribalism, regionalism, ethnic difference. It is time to sail. It is time to sail together towards the future. Together, Let us not forget this word together. The course of the great river can also suggest a way to move forward. Along its way, the Nile joins. The Nile joins another river at Lake No, forming the so-called White Nile. It is transparently clear waters, then arise from an encounter. This is the path to take, to respect one another, to get to know one another, and to engage in dialogue. Behind every form of violence there is anger and resentment, and behind every form of anger and resentment there is an unheld memory of wounds, humiliation and wrongs. It follows that the only way to break free, and this is through encounter, by accepting others as our brothers and sisters and making room for them even. This attitude, which is essential for any peace process, is also indispensable for the cohesive development of society. In the passage from the barbarity of confrontation to a culture of vital encounter, young people have a decisive role to play. Consequently, they should be provided with the open space. May they fearlessly take hold of future which is then to women. Women, mothers who know how life is generated and safeguarded, need to be increasingly involved in political life of decision-making process. Women need to be respected. For anyone who commits an act of violence towards a woman commits it towards God, who took flesh from women. Never as a brother, sister, the great rebellion. The young history of this country, torn by ethnic clashes, needs a discovery of mystic of encounter, the grace of whole. There is a need to look beyond grounds and differences in order to journey as one people, which, as in the Nile, is enriched by the contribution of its various tributaries. It was precisely by the river. A century ago, the first missionaries to the shores of follow over time by many humanitarian workers. I want to thank all of them. Let us not forget. Let us not forget to guarantee them. I want to thank. Let us not forget the security and support they need for their charitable works. A great river, however, can at times overflow and cause disasters. Tragically, this has been the experience of many victims of floods in this country. I express the closeness to them. Natural disasters tell a tale of nature that is battered and wounded, and from being a source of life. We need the foresight to care for creation for the sake of future generations. I think in particular of the need to combat the deforestation caused by profiteering. To prevent a river from flooding, its bed has to be kept clean, leaving behind the metaphor. The cleaning needed by the flow of life in society is represented by the battle against corruption, the inequitable distribution of funds, secret schemes to get rich, patronage deals, lack of transparency. All this pollute the riverbed of human, which the pressing need of any civilized country is to care for its citizens, especially the most vulnerable in this one. Yeah, I think especially the semester, the same weapons that, despite bans, continue to arrive in many countries in the area, including South Sudan. Many things. Here we need many things. Many things are needed here, but surely not more. Here I will mention the development of suitable healthcare policies and need for vital infrastructures, and especially the primary goal of promoting literacy and education, and only the like all the children of this land will be able to take their future, have the right to grow up holding in their hands notebooks and toys, not weapons and tools for labor. Finally, the White Nile leaves South Sudan, passes through other countries, joins the Blue Nile, and then flows into the sea. Rivers know no borders. They connect different territories. In a similar way, in order to achieve a suitable development, it is essential, now more than ever, to foster positive relationship with other countries, starting with those in the area. Here I think two of the precious contribution made by the international community to this country, and I express my gratitude for the efforts made to promote reconciliation and development. I am convinced that for those contributions to be fruitful, genuine understanding of social process and problems is essential. It is not enough to analyze and report on them from afar. This is a need to be directly involved with the patience and determinations, and more generally, as St. John Paul II said 30 years ago, in African solution must be found to African problems. Mr. President, distinguished authorities, in tracing the course of the Nile, I wanted to venture along the path of this country as young as it is beloved. I realized that some of what I have had to say may appear blunt and direct, but please know that this arises only from the affection I follow the life of the country, together with my brothers with whom I have come here as a pilgrim of peace. We wish to offer you our heartfelt prayers and our support so that South Sudan can experience reconciliation and change of direction. May its vital cause no longer be overwhelmed by the blood of violence, merged in the swamps of corruption, and blocked by the indignity. May the Lord of heaven, who loves this land, grant it a new season of peace and prosperity. God bless the Republic of South Sudan.